reached the forest was a cathedral of ice. Every branch of the tall pine trees was heavy with snow. Bending low as if they were mourning, the men huddled beneath them. Private Leo Vance sat in a foxhole that he had spent 3 hours chipping out of the frozen earth. His shovel had sparked against the ground like it was hitting solid granite. Leo couldn't feel his toes anymore. He had wrapped his feet in extra wool socks and burlap sacks, but the damp cold of the Belgian winter moved through leather and cloth like a ghost. "Vance, stay awake," a voice rasped from the hole 5 feet away. It was Corporal Henderson. His face was a mask of gray stubble and frost, his breath coming out in thick white plumes. "If you fall asleep in this cold, you don't wake up. Keep moving your fingers." Leo nodded, his joints creaking. They were low on everything: ammunition, food, and most importantly, fuel. The Allied supply lines were choked by the massive German counteroffensive and the Great White Death. The fog had grounded the planes that were supposed to drop supplies. The silence of the woods was terrifying. It wasn't a peaceful silence. It was a heavy, expectant pressure. Then, through the fog, came a sound that made Leo's blood turn to ice. Squeak, clank, squeak. It was the sound of metal treads on frozen ground. A tank. "They're coming," Henderson whispered. Leo gripped his rifle, but the metal was so cold it felt like it was burning his skin. He looked at his hands. They were white and stiff. He blew on them, desperate for a spark of warmth. Out of the white mist, a massive shape began to form, a German Tiger tank, painted in winter camouflage, looking like a prehistoric beast prowling through the trees. It was followed by infantry, men in heavy gray coats with their collars turned up, their eyes fixed on the tree line. "Wait for my signal," Henderson breathed. Leo felt a strange sense of calm. The shivering stopped. The hunger faded. Everything narrowed down to the sight at the end of his barrel. He wasn't a kid from a farm in Kansas anymore. He was a stone in the wall. The tank fired. The shell hit a tree directly above Leo's head, showering him in splinters and frozen needles. The explosion was a roar of orange fire in a world of white. "Now," Henderson yelled. Leo pulled the trigger. The kick of the rifle sent a jolt of energy through his frozen shoulder. The woods erupted into a chaotic symphony of gunfire. The Americans had no tanks to fight back, only their rifles and a few anti-tank mines they had buried in the snow. A German soldier lunged toward Leo's foxhole. Leo swung his rifle. The movement felt slow, like he was moving through water. He fired, and the soldier fell into the snow, the red of his blood looking shockingly bright against the white ground. For an hour, the forest was a hell of smoke and screams. The Tiger tank, unable to see clearly through the thick trees and fog, began to back away as the American resistance proved fiercer than expected. The German infantry followed, disappearing back into the mist like ghosts returning to the grave. When the shooting stopped, the silence returned, heavier than before. Leo slumped back against the frozen wall of his hole. He was shaking now uncontrollable, violent tremors as the adrenaline left his body. He reached into his pocket and found a small, crushed chocolate bar he had been saving for 3 days. He broke off a piece and put it on his tongue. It was cold and hard, but it tasted like life. "You all right, Vance?" Henderson called out. "I'm alive," Leo whispered, his voice cracking. "That's all we need for today," Henderson replied. "Just stay alive until tomorrow." The sun began to set, casting long blue shadows across the snow. Leo wrapped his coat tighter around his shivering frame. He knew the night would be longer than the battle. He looked up at the stars, cold and distant, and wondered if the people back home knew that the world was being saved by men who were too frozen to even cry.